Happy New Year, Giancarlo.
Happy New Year.
How's what's the reaction been since the last game on the training pitch and the likes? How's everyone reacted to that preparing for this game?
Well, I think the boys were very disappointed with the result. I think they believe they merited something more out of that game, especially. We made an error, we got punished for it, but you know what? At the end of the day, these moments are going to be quite significant for us in terms of being a learning process and moving forward. We learned a lot after we lost to Newcastle, so this will be no different.
Is that a matter of being better in certain ways, or is it just certain occasions that might happen during a game and how you cope with it?
Well, we've made many errors in many games and we haven't been punished. It works both ways as well. So it's just more about getting better and getting consistent in those pressure situations, which there'll be more of, because as the season deepens, every game has more value and every team is trying to, fight for those 3 points. So for us, we're a process-driven team. So for us, it's more about refining those moments, getting better and giving the players the ability to make better decisions and more consistent decisions. And then hopefully at the end of the year, we'll be rewarded.
As far as personnel is concerned, is anyone not available? Anyone that is available now for this game?
No, everyone's pretty much, it's the same squad as Sydney. Obviously, Oscar Zapata still having his issues and he's at home getting treatment, but it's everyone remains the same.
And just tell us about Adelaide and your thoughts on them, and what you expect from them.
Well, they've had an interesting run of late. They've changed their formation. Sorry, they're experimenting with a couple of new ideas, which is it's been quite interesting to watch. They've gone to a 4-2-2-2, like box midfield, with a couple of different rotations up top, which is something they haven't done before. Traditionally, they played with wingers. Now they're getting the fullbacks a little bit higher. So they're evolving. So I think it'll be quite interesting a game at home. And to be fair, at home they're very hard to beat. Even against Newcastle, when I watched them a couple of weeks ago. Probably not their best game, but they still came away with a 3-0 win because they're quite good at home. They press quite high, so it'll be a very, very tough game for us.
Thank you.
No problem.
Hey, Chief, how's it going?
Yeah, good. Cool.
So you guys are still in Australia. What was the thinking behind that? And do you think that's sort of giving you a bit of an advantage ahead of the Adelaide game that you've stayed in Australia?
Well, I'll tell you after the game if it's giving me advantage. I won't know until it happens, mate. The idea is that because it's a short turnaround of games, less than a week, in order to go back home and come back, that would have quite a toll on the players physically, I think, and more importantly, mentally. So staying here and staying concentrated in one area, being able to train, and not being pushed out of our normal routine it's just beneficial for the boys, in terms of recovery, and also means that I don't waste any sessions, because when you travel, unfortunately, not only do you lose the day on travel day, you lose the next day because boys are recovering. So that extra day does help.
Yeah, were you surprised to learn that you're back at the top of the table, or that you shouldn't have never left it to begin with?
Yeah, look, for me, it's more noise than anything else. It's great that we're back at the top of the table, but what was disappointing, we didn't get any points against Sydney. For me, that was probably the most disappointing part. All these, whether we go up first or second, depending on wins and goal difference, I don't really take any importance to that. What matters, if that was round 27, then yeah, that's a big thing for us. But we're early on in the season, so we're not getting carried away. We're on the table. We understand our limitations, but we also understand that we're a team going above people's expectations, and we want to continue that. So we take every game, game by game, and we work on the previous performances.
Yeah, did you know that most wins was now the first tiebreaker? Because it seems like everyone didn't, like on the A-League website, the table had Melbourne Victory top, throughout the coverage. We've seen Melbourne Victory had gone top of the table, but the A-League claimed that the clubs knew about this. So, yeah, when did you find out?
I found out, I think it was late yesterday, after, I jumped on Twitter for, 2 minutes when I had a chance to. And I was just like pretty shocked at the turnaround and how it eventuated. But I'm a football, I'm a football purist that's watched football over, 30 years now, 40, almost 40 years now, right? And I've seen top of the table calculations go on head-to-head, goal difference, most wins now. So, in 5 to 10 years, we'll be talking about some other scenario.
Yeah, do you have a preference, like in terms of the way you want to set up and play? Because I guess now teams can just get a 1-0 win, and there may be not so much of an incentive to pile on the goals. Yeah, do you have a preference of which tiebreaker you'd prefer? I mean, it's quite rare that teams end up on the same amount of points anyway, but yeah, do you have a preference?
For me, I think if two teams finish on the same at the end of the season, I used to like what they used to do in Serie A back in the 80s. If two teams finished, let's say, on 60 points, they would play off, irrespective of what their goal difference was. And if you can't fit that in the schedule, then I guess it would go down on the head-to-head and then potentially goal difference. But that's just me, I'm not saying that we deserve to be top because we've had the most wins. Melbourne Victory are undefeated. So for me, if I was on their shoes, I'd be saying that, they should be number one. But I think that if it comes to the end of the season and you have two teams that are equal, I actually think they should play off for that first spot.
We don't need another change now after
Yeah.
after this. How do you find when you are at the top of the table? Like, is there a different pressure? Do you feel like the team's got more of a target on their back? Do they play with more pressure on their shoulders when they're top of the table?
Me personally, I don't look at being on top of the table as a burden. I do find that it is a fuel for the opposition to beat us, and I keep saying to our group, when you're first, every match has some significance or importance. It's first, third, first, fifth, first, bottom of the table. Unfortunately, it's still 90 minutes. Still have to focus for that 90 minutes. Still have to play the first half well. Still have to, play the second half well. You have to defend well. You have to attack well. You have to be switched on. So, for me, at the end of the day, that 90 minutes, it doesn't matter where you're on the table. You still have to go be the best version of yourself, and then perform well, and then hopefully the result looks after itself.
Yeah, and just a final one from me. I guess a key theme of Sydney's win was like the fact they pressed really aggressively, particularly in the first half. Do you think that other teams will see that as the blueprint to try beat you, and how, like, have you worked on that specifically to try combat it? Maybe in case Adelaide do try to do something similar.
Okay, so I'll put this into context, right? So they press us hard. How many chances did they score from the first half from the press? 0. Okay, that was from a set piece. Second half, the second goal came when we had attacked, so it was more of a transitional and us working down. It wasn't really the press that really caught us out. It was more a mixture of us not working down and recovering, and we made an error that led to the goal. And then when it was the third goal was off the throne, where we've gone man to man, so structurally we had changed. So I don't see it as an issue. Did we struggle to get out in that first pass? Yeah, in that first part of the first half, yes, they pressed us quite well. But I think as the game eventuated, it's very hard to press like that for 90 minutes. And we found in the second half that we had more space. We actually came to the game quite well. And I don't see it as an issue at the moment. Now, I'm happy if teams press us because that's the way we train. And we've had games prior to that where it wasn't an issue, or it wasn't construed to be an issue. So, hats off to Sydney. They played their game. It was quite, it was quite an intense, way to play. But at the same time, we're just going to stick to what we know works for us, and we just need to get better at it.
Awesome, cool, thanks. All the best for the game.
Thank you.